Good morning, ma'am. I'm M. Hemant Kumar from AAA Department from A section, and welcome to my presentation in Communicative English. And my presentation about active voice and passive voice. Let me give me some introduction to active voice and passive voice. Active voice is when the subject of the sentence performs the action. Passive voice is when the subject of the sentence receives the action. Understanding the difference between active and passive voice is more important for clear and effective communication. We can see some examples of active and passive voice. Benefits of using active voice. Active voice is more direct and easier to understand. It makes writing more engaging and dynamic, emphasizes the doer of the action. Active voice definition and rules of active voice. What is the active voice? The active voice is when a subject acts upon the verb linked to it within a sentence. This is the common most voice used in English language in both writing and speaking. You might think of it the way in active voice, the subject of the sentence will perform the action of the verb when using active voice, a sentence will be clear, strong, and direct, hence, this being a preferred voice of the language. Examples of active voice: the dog chased the cat, she baked a delicious cake, the team won the championship. We can observe so many examples in this table, like the singer performed the song. The song was performed by the singer. The doctor examined the patient. The patient was examined by the doctor. Challenges of passive voice. Passive voice can be vague and wordy. It may obscure the doer of the action. It can make sentences less engaging. Passive voice in English based on the tense. Present simple. I do my homework. My homework is done. Present continuous tense. I'm doing my homework. My homework is being done. Past simple. I did my homework. My homework was done. Past continuous tense. I was doing my homework. My homework was being done. Present perfect tense. I have done my homework. My homework has been done. So we can observe so many of examples in this table. Now I'm going to tell about examples of passive voice. The book was read by the student. The project was completed by the team. The house was built by the construction company. And here we can observe some examples in active voice and passive voice. From the present simple tense, I make a cake. A cake is made. In present continuous tense, I am making a cake. A cake is being made. Past simple tense, I made a cake. A cake was made. In past continuous tense, I was making a cake. A cake was being made. In future simple tense, I will make a cake. A cake will be made. Tips for recognizing active voice. Look for the subject performing the action and check for the placement of the verb where the verb is. And the next one is identify who or what is doing the action. What is active voice? The active voice is when a subject acts upon the verb linked to it within a sentence. This is the most common voice used in the English language in both writing and in speaking. You might think of it this way. In active voice, the subject of the sentence will perform the action of the verb. When using the active voice, a sentence will be clear and strong, direct, hence this being the preferred voice of the language. And next one is tips for recognizing passive voice. Look for the subject receiving the action. Check for the use of passive auxiliary verbs. For example, is, was, were, and identify the preposition by followed the doer of the action. And here also we can observe some examples like future simple tense. I will do my homework. My do homework will be done. Past perfect tense. I had done my homework. My homework had been done. Past continuous tense. I was doing my homework. My homework was being done. Present continuous tense. I am doing my homework. My homework is being done. Present simple tense. I do my homework. My homework is done. And the next one is when to use active voice. Use active voice for clear and concise communication. Use active voice to emphasize the doer of the action. Use active voice to make your writing more engaging. Use active voice. Active voice makes it clear who is doing what. It eliminates ambiguity about responsibilities. Passive voice obscures who is responsible for what. When to use passive voice? Use passive voice when the doer of the action is unknown or unimportant. Use passive voice to focus on the recipient of the action. Use passive voice to soften the impact of negative news. And the next one is how to use active voice in business writing. Active voice is preferred in business writing for clarity. It helps to convey a sense of responsibility and a sense of accountability. Active voice is often used in marketing and some advertising materials which you are showing in TV or some shows and etc. And one of the example of the active voice, let's now take a look at some examples of the active voice in order to understand their structure in more depth. And the next one is passive voice in scientific writing and how to use passive voice in scientific writing. Passive voice is common in scientific writing to maintain objectivity. It allows the focus to be on the research findings rather than the researcher. Passive voice is used to emphasize the results rather than the actions. The passive voice can create awkward sentences. It is more readily accepted in scientific writing. The verb will always include a form of be such as am, is, was, were, or are, been. And how to use active voice in journalism. Active voice is prevalent in journalism for immediacy and impact. It helps to engage readers and convey information quickly. Active voice is used to report news in a straightforward manner. Passive voice in legal writing. Passive voice is used in legal writing to emphasize the facts. It helps to maintain a neutral tone and focus on the events rather than the parties involved. Passive voice is common in legal documents and contracts. Common mistakes in active voice. Confusing active and passive voice. Overusing passive voice in writing. Failing to vary sentence structure for clarity and impact. Common mistakes we are making in passive voice. Using passive voice to avoid responsibility. Creating awkward and convoluted sentences. Neglecting to revise sentences for clarity and for precision. Practice exercise. Identify the voice. The cake was baked by Mary. It is passive voice. Mary baked the cake. It is active voice. The report will be submitted by the team. It is passive voice. Transforming the voice. The letter was written by Tom. It is in passive voice. And in we can say in active voice, Tom wrote the letter. And the passive voice, the car was driven by the Sarah. Conclusion. Active voice and passive voice serve different purposes in writing. Choosing the right voice can enhance clarity and impact. Practice using both active and passive voice to improve your writing skills. You can see some examples in the table. Thank you, ma'am, for giving this opportunity.